Hey, do you have that kind of place at home? A spare room that nobody uses? You're thinking about building something out of it? Like a home cinema? Or maybe a home studio if you're a musician? Well, this is what I've done, and I'm gonna show you how I turn something like this into something like that. Okay, so we're gonna go through all the steps, but first, let's have a look at the room before anything was done. This is how it looked. It was previously used as a laundry room. It's 17 meters square, which is big enough for what I intend to do, but on the other hand, it has some constraints, such as all the pipes and the two doors, with one of them right in the middle of the wall, so it doesn't leave me a lot of options to decide where I should place the different elements. So to make sure everything would fit, I designed this blueprint. As you can see, I've placed the screen on the right side of the room with the desk behind the screen. You will have all the monitors and the computers and the home studio stuff on the desk. I'll have just enough space on the left to place a sofa, and I will hide the ventilation pipes with some walls, and I create a window. Well, this is what I intend to do. Now, if you're wondering what's on the other side, let's have a quick look. So here is the live room. It's around 30 meters square. And here is the actual control room. So all the equipment will go in the new one after everything will be finished. But first, I need to walk on the floor. This is the first step. As you can see, the floor is divided into two parts, the linoleum part here and the concrete part over there. And the concrete part is actually higher by 1 or 2 centimeters than the other part. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of this linoleum and level up the floor. For that, I'm using self-leveling compound mixed with water. You can see here the first bag poured out of 8. I counted 125 kilogram bag per meter square. And now we just skipped to the last bag, and I just have to wait 24 hours before walking on it. Then we'll see what the next step is. So now we are looking at the place where I plan on putting the projector. So for that, I prepared a structure made of wood in order to create a box. It will also, as you can see, hide all the maze of pipe that I have behind it. I took the measurements and I pre-mount the box before fixing it to the wall and to the ceiling. To fix it to the ceiling, I used 2 rods, and they are fixed in this rack that I had before for the pipe. One important detail is to drill the wood before putting the screw, otherwise the wood could burst. Now I'm gonna let it like this for a while, and I'll walk back on it later on. On the other side of the room, as I said before, I have this pipe that I need to move back. Here it's done, so it takes less space, so the room will end up bigger. I'm working now on another element, which is related to the evacuation pipe. I'm using this plywood board, and I'm drilling holes in it to cover first the evacuation pipe and it will fulfill another purpose also. It will be used to create Helmholtz bass trap. So thanks to the drill, it will absorb some bass frequency, and the room will have a better sounding, which is very important for a home cinema or a studio. I filled it with glass wool to improve the efficiency of the trap. I also put 6 different electrical outlets and the cable to plug in all the hardware I need. Now let's have a look at the screen. I used wood again to create a box again, but this time painted in black, because the future ceiling will be black. It's fixed on the wall and on the ceiling, because the distance between the two walls is quite long. It's approximately 4 meters. Inside the box I put the motorized screen. It's 2.4 meter wide, and I ordered it in black. So we are now going back to the other side of the room, and I'm cutting a rectangle into this wall to create a window between the control room, which will be also the home cinema, and the live room, because there is usually a window between the live room and the control room. I have used a simple saw to cut through the wall. It was pretty easy to cut through the plaster, and the important thing is to get a clean cut with 4 right angles. Otherwise the glass won't fit well, or it will be harder to get the right dimension. You can see here the preparation I've made to receive the glass. So I've used again wood painting in black, mixed up with plywood, the plywood board I had, the same that is used behind. And I have nailed cleats all over it to sustain the glass. Glass is here, already cut to the right dimensions. I've installed the first one. The glass is held by a sandwich of 2 cleats, and I put some silicone in it. I applied the same process to install a second glass on the other side. The 2 glasses are not parallel, so it breaks the geometry of the room for better sounding. And here is the trick. You can cover the hammer with paper, so the part which can be in contact with the glass when you nail the cleat won't do any damage. After that, I started working on the electricity. I had to put on new electric panel here in order to receive 15 new electric outlets to power up everything I need. I replaced most of the cable, and I also have to remove this old electric panel, which is not used anymore. After the electricity, it took me a lot of time to cover every wall with plaster board. I first had to place those rails and glass wool to create a good insulation, but also a good acoustic in the room, because the glass wool will absorb bass frequencies. I ordered also 3 plaster board with holes, and the holes will absorb even more sound, like mid-range frequencies. One placed here in front of the desk, and two boards placed laterally, one here and one on the other side. The plaster board almost ready to be painted, and it's almost finished. I just have the box where the projector will be put to cover it with plasterboard. I also thought about placing a USB cable between the plasterboard and the wall to connect the sound card with the computer. You can see here that the joint tapes are coated. It's almost ready to be painted. That will be the next step. This is not my favorite task, but it's almost done. I have also continued to work on the box, and I started to put the plaster. It is also filled with wool, so it will absorb the sound that makes the projector. And of course, I had to thought about the electric outlet to plug the projector. I still have the front here to cover. Now the undercoat, the white undercoat, is done. The box is pretty much finished, ready to receive the projector. And finally, with the last coat of black paint, I mean almost black paint, I chose a dark color to avoid light reflection, so I will have a much better image and a better contrast. Now back to the floor. I ordered a wooden floor and I'm installing it. I'm putting dense polystyrene between the concrete and the wood floor for installation and to get a silent floor, especially when you walk on it. It's pretty easy to install. Now it's finished, the floor with the baseboard. I also ordered the sound system, the home cinema. I placed the rear speaker here. The cable goes through the wall and through the ceiling. There is also cable to receive speaker in the ceiling. This one. It will be a Dolby Atmos installation. I have a front speaker here. The cable are going through the baseboard, so no cable are apparent. And here is the subwoofer. I am now working on the ceiling, the first part of the ceiling, because the ceiling will be divided into two parts, and the part behind the screen will be a little bit lower. So I have to put this structure, and after that I put rock wool plates inside, which are 2 cm thick and black, so they will absorb also light reflection. And after I will do the same here. So here it is. The structure is going from the front of the screen to the back of the room, and it's hanging also on the ceiling thanks to those things here and here. And now I still have to place the rock wool plates, and between the plates and the actual ceiling I will also add some glass wool to
to catch the bad low reflection in the room.
One important detail before you start working on this kind of ceiling, it's good to draw this kind of blueprint so you can calculate the exact amount of panel you need first, so you don't do any waste, and also you will be able to forecast how you will place the structure, so you won't end up with cutting like a panel for 1 or 2 centimeters. So the overall results will be more centered. Okay, so that was the last step I filmed. I'm going now to show you the ending result with the furniture and the equipment working. We can see the ceiling with built-in speaker, LED spots, and one LED tape. These are the Dynavoice rear speakers, and thanks to their specific shape, I've managed to mount rear speaker in a very small area, so I'm quite happy. I can manage the lights separately with these 2 switches, with one of them dimmer. Now, this is the remote to scroll down the built-in motorized screen to switch from a home studio configuration to a home cinema. I'm gonna try to show you the result, but you have to trust me if I tell you that it looks good and it sounds even better. The addition of the Helmholtz trap that we've seen earlier, the acoustic plaster panels, the acoustic ceiling, the foams in combination with the right speaker position gives an excellent result. I have just enough sound reflection, evenly spread across the whole spectrum. I don't have the resonance that you usually get in a untreated room. I can push the volume and the sound definition remains precise. Your hearing does not get tired too soon. So it's really appropriate to watch movies, to record and mix music, or even to play video games. Now, if you'd like to know some numbers, I haven't kept track of everything, but I can tell you that it roughly cost me around 3,000 to 4,000 euros. So that's the cost of the material, the amp, the second-hand speakers, and the projector. So that's the advantage of the DY. Otherwise, it took me 1 year to complete this project, but I was working on it around 2 days per month only, so I'd say that maybe 20 to 30 days max. So with this configuration, I just have to move to the left the Strontra speaker when I want to use the desk. So could have placed it behind the screen if it had holes and wasn't soundproof, but that's not a big issue anyway. Here is a rack I built with the rest of the plywood board. Pretty convenient to store the hardware. So I'm very happy with the results. I think it's worth the trouble. I really enjoy spending time here now. So if you're interested, I've left some information in the description. Do not hesitate to ask your question in the comments, and also to check our band, our BIS. You might like what we do. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.